Hello, hello, family. I hope all is well. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Uh, Sending you all lots of love out there. And I just want to tell you all that you are greatly appreciated. Your support means a lot, and that you all are champions. And sending you all lots of love. We're going to get into this content. And it's talking about how the Latino community, basically the ones that's light-skinned, not the Negroes or however that's pronounced, they want to be so close to white supremacy proximity till they'll turn on everyone to be accepted in their club. But let's listen to some other people's opinion. But there is no black and brown coalition. We have no allies, the foundation of black Americans, the indigenous American Indians, which are so-called black, and the Hebrew Israelites. We have no allies. Here we go.
That's gaslighting. You're gaslighting on a societal level, and it's crazy.
Generations as internalized racism. We've been conditioned to believe that assimilation equals survival, that belonging to white society means erasing our culture, our language, and our history. And today, far too many Latinos are still pathetically desperate for white acceptance. They will do anything to prove themselves worthy of white proximity. They will sell themselves out. They will sell out their families. They will sell out their children, and they will sell out their entire community. They will stab themselves in the back. They will stab the black community and every other marginalized group they should be standing beside in the back, just to beg for crumbs from a table that they will never be invited to sit at. And these very Latinos, they're the reason we as people will never make real progress, because every time we move forward, they sabotage it, destroying any progress that we fight for, even at the expense of their own families and their own communities. And now we're watching the consequences of their betrayal play out in real time. ICE raids, tearing apart their own neighborhoods, and the very democracy of this country hanging by a thread. They most definitely helped do this. They helped the very machine that's now coming to destroy them. And I am beyond pissed.
You know what's worse than an actual racist? A wannabe racist. Like a lot of Latinos are worse than white people when it comes to racism. It's like a kid in elementary school trying to prove how cool he is to the popular kids, not realizing how much of a loser that popular kid truly is. Because they want to be white. What's worse than a person who wants to be something? A person that's not comfortable in themselves. They want to be
Everybody keeps asking, why do Latinos consistently align themselves with whiteness? Well, there is a historical reason for that, and we're going to get into it. All of this starts in Latin America and the Caribbean during colonization. At this time, in that region, there were three major human trafficking organizations: the British, the French, and the Spanish. They all had colonies in Latin America and the Caribbean, and they were all engaging in human trafficking, aka slavery. But the three countries had very different approaches to how they organized society. The British were known to be the harshest of the human traffickers in this region. Under British colonial rule, there were strict and rigid racial boundaries. Basically, there was the white people and the non-white people, and that was it. There was no mobility between the two. If you were born enslaved, you were probably gonna die enslaved. And the British were also known for being the most brutal traffickers out of them all. Then you have the French. They weren't as brutal as the British, and they weren't as rigid in their racial boundaries, but they were rigid as well. You can see here the caste system from Haiti, which was then known as Saint-Domingue. There's essentially three classes here: white people, colored people, and and slaves. And as you can see, the white people are split up into the Grand Blanc, which are the wealthy planters, and the Petit Blanc, which are the merchants and the officials. And you have the Gens de Couleur. They are separated by free people by virtue of having white parentage, aka mixed people, and then free people who purchased their freedom. And lastly, you got the black people who are enslaved. So as you can see here, there's more stratification of their racial classification than in the British colonies, which were essentially white and non-white. There was some porousness between racial distinctions, but ultimately it was still very rigid in the French colonies, and what you were born into is what you would die into. Social mobility, upward mobility really wasn't a thing, which is part of the reason why the Haitian Revolution started. And now for the Spanish colonial system. This is the caste system of Latin America. As you can see, there are so many different categories that you can be placed into. It is not the binary white or non-white that you see in British colony, and it is much more complex than what you see in French colony caste systems. And that's because the Spanish had a very porous racial boundary system. The Spanish were much more flexible. They allowed for upward mobility. The Spaniards were down to intermarry with black people and indigenous people, something you rarely saw in the British colonies, and you didn't see that much in the French colony. And as a result, in Spanish colonies, you had much more of an opportunity for upward mobility. Just because you were born a slave doesn't mean you had to die enslaved. You could literally marry your way out of enslavement and up the social hierarchy. This is where the concept of blanqueamiento came in. This is where the concept of mejorar la raza came in, which means making your race better. Blanqueamiento means whitening the race. Because in Spanish colonies, you were actually able to improve your station in life by whitening your bloodline. So this mentality stuck, and it got passed on generation after generation, even after slavery was abolished. And so now in 2026, you have a whole entire community of people across dozens of countries who believe that aligning themselves with whiteness can improve their station in life. But unfortunately for them, this isn't Latin America. So that mentality is not pervasive here, which is why they keep screwing themselves.
You will never be white. As much as you, a fellow Latino, wants to be in proximity to whiteness.
That was a very good breakdown by that sister right there. And it really, and of course, you know, we know be delusional about it, you know, become
that there is internalized racism in our own community, how there is anti-blackness in our own community, how there is colorism in our own community. Think about those things, because no human being is better than the other because they think that because they have papers that they are better than another human being. A human being is a human being. There is no alien. There is no illegal when it comes to the world, okay? So let me remind you that you will never be white. Oh my gosh, it was circle. Who said it? Who said that?
It is illegal to come into a country the wrong way. So let's correct that. There are boundaries in every country, because if you just left your front door and your back door open to tell anybody you can walk in, you'll never have control. You're losing control. So we wish the best for the Latinos and Jamaicans and Cubans and Haitians and white supremacists. We, as Foundation of Black American Indian, and the Hebrew Israelites, we don't care what y'all doing. We just want y'all to leave us alone. Quit trying to sabotage us. Like, share, and subscribe. Love y'all. Bye.